I imagine folks out there getting right sick of seeing videos with me walking these here dogs. But to be honest, other than my walk with Yeshua, this is what my life consists of these days. And I ain't a-complaining. Did you see a doggy? That's that little pug. He's a tough guy. He'll come over here and tell you something. He's a tough guy. You better be cool. He's a little tough guy. Yeah, he is. He'll come over here and put you straight. He ain't having none of that puppy business. He said, I'm taking my walk. You boys better leave me be. Yeah. You tell him, right, Blake? So put them in straight. Ready? Favorite little spots. So I thought I'd sit and ponder for a moment. Hey folks, I had something happen the other night that got me to thinking. You ever have one of those moments where you're laying there in bed? It's about 4:30 in the morning. You've been woke up a half dozen times already. The dogs have decided they're joining in with the neighborhood choir. And whatever patients you had left packed up and headed south about 2 hours ago. Yeah, I had one of those nights. Now, I won't get into all the particulars because, truth be told, they ain't really the point. But it all started because somebody with a genuinely kind heart decided they wanted to help people who had fallen on hard times. This person opened their door. They tried to make a difference. And before long, things got completely out of hand. And so I stood there at 4:30 in the morning, biting my tongue, tried not to let my frustration get the better of me. One thought just kept rolling around in my head. Sometimes we bite off more than we can chew. Now, that's not a Bible verse. You won't find it tucked away between Genesis and Revelation. But the idea, oh, that's all throughout the Bible. See, there's a difference between compassion and calling. There's a difference between wanting to help and actually being equipped to help. And sometimes we confuse the two. You know, we live in a world that celebrates saying yes to everything. Be everything. Fix everybody. Save everybody. Carry everybody. And if you're exhausted, well, maybe you're just not trying hard enough. But that's not how God generally works. He gives different people different gifts. Paul talks about that. Some teach, some encourage, some serve, some give, some lead. Not everybody is called to do everything. And maybe that's a good thing. Because if everybody tried to carry every burden, pretty soon everybody would collapse under the weight. Yeshua himself talked about counting the cost. Before building a tower, he said, a wise man sits down first and figures out whether he has enough to finish the job. That's not a lesson against faith. It's a lesson against presumption. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is be honest about your limitations. I wish I could help. I care. But this is beyond what I'm equipped for. That's not selfishness. That's wisdom. I think we've all done it. Maybe it wasn't bringing someone into our home. Maybe it was saying yes to one more responsibility at work. One more committee, one more volunteer project, one more favor, one more obligation. Until one day we realize we're drowning under commitments we created ourselves. And then we wonder where our peace went. Now don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying don't help people. Far from it. Yeshua spent his earthly ministry helping people. He healed people, fed people, comforted people. But notice something. He also walked away from crowds. He withdrew to lonely places. He prayed. He rested. Sometimes he left towns full of sick people because his Father was leading him somewhere else. He never confused every opportunity with every assignment. And I wonder how often we, as believers, do. There's another verse folks quote all the time. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's true, absolutely true. But Paul wasn't saying, I can chase every dream I come up with. He was saying Christ gives him the strength to endure whatever God has actually placed before him. There's a difference. God's strength isn't permission for unlimited ambition. It's a provision for faithful obedience. Yeah, decided to get your drink after all, huh? Proverbs has a funny little verse. It is not good to eat much honey. Now that's an odd one. Honey's good, but too much, even something good, can become unhealthy. The other day I was putting coconut oil on the dogs, keeping their skin and fur all nice. Usually when I do that, I'll let them lick the jar a little bit because a little bit of coconut oil is good for the digestive system, for the fur, the skin. But Beans, he decided he was going to eat half the jar before I realized it. Okay, maybe not half the jar, but way more than he should have. Well, as soon as I realized it, I looked at him. He looked guilty. And I said, oh, you're not in trouble by me, buddy. But you're going to be in trouble. And, well, I'm not going to get graphic. But you can imagine how I spent the rest of that evening. It's okay. He's fine now. Been 24 hours. My point being is that I reckon helping people is a lot like that. Helping is good. Mercy is good. Compassion is good. But without wisdom, even good things can become destructive. I've had to learn that the hard way more than once, and it looks like Beans did too. Sometimes saying no isn't closing your heart. Sometimes it's protecting it. Because if you burn yourself completely out trying to rescue everyone, eventually you won't have anything left for the people God actually entrusted you to care for. So maybe today just take this as a gentle reminder. Before you take on another burden, sit down, count the cost. Pray about it. Ask yourself, is this something God is asking me to do? Or is it simply something I feel guilty saying no to do? Those aren't always the same thing. And maybe that's where real humility begins. Not pretending we're capable of everything, but admitting we're not. Leaving room for God to use other people where our gift ends. Because the kingdom of God was never designed to rest in one person's hands or on one person's shoulders. That's why there's a body of believers. Many members, different gifts, working together. So, if you're carrying more than you can bear today, maybe it's time to set something down. Not because you don't care, but because you do. And because wisdom knows the difference between faithfulness and overcommitment. As Yeshua said in Luke chapter 14, before building a tower, a wise man first sits down and counts the cost. That's good advice for construction, and it's pretty good advice for life too. As far as my own personal experience, everything worked out in the end. The individual that was having the breakdown ended up getting the care they needed. And the individual that was, trying to do the helping, hopefully learned a lesson. Sometimes we just bite off more than we can chew. Well, thanks for joining me here today as I just think out loud. I hope to see you here next time, and until next time, Abba willing. Shalom, shalom. Could be a turtle, could be a squirrel, could be a bunny red monster, turtle pond.